Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. As you're making it into the room, here's what we would love for you to do is to jump into the comments. Let us know your name, where you're joining us from, one thing that you're excited about today that you feel life and momentum on. So just as you're making it in, and if you have any questions, comments, any of those things, love to interact with you. We don't want to just be like a talking head on here. We actually want to interact with those of you who are watching. Let me do this really quick. I'm just going to make sure that you guys know that questions are open, even though it may not specifically say it on the screen at the bottom like we would like. Probably should have turned that on a while ago. But as you're making it into the room, make sure that you are saying hello. I'm just going to double check and just make sure that we are live over here and we don't have any problems. But hey, let me know that you are here. Want to interact with you. So last week actually started, there's Edlin. The strangest thing's happening. For some reason, it's not popping your comments on over here. So just want to say hello to Edlin, who says, I love coaching people. People who know me just are drawn to opening up with me, and I'm able to help them. I am confident about my approach, and I see results. My biggest problem is converting to income. I find it so hard to say, pay me when somebody who needs help approaches me. I'm going to answer that for you at the end today. And Alexandra is joining us from Austria. Welcome, Alexandra. Appreciate you being here. And as you're making it into the room, make sure that you say hello and you give me any questions that you have, and we will help you. There's Keith joining us in the room from New Jersey. Welcome, Keith. Appreciate you. Just as you're getting in the room, make sure that you're saying hello and that you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them. So last week, where we left off, and if I brought you back a week, we're really talking about taking control when times are uncertain. And one of the things that all humans seem to do in their belief systems and the way that people are really wired, and you're going to see this, and I know that I'm speaking mostly to coaches and aspiring coaches. There's Roar from New Jersey. Welcome. Is people gravitate towards what they believe is certain. Certainty typically rules the day. People don't like uncertainty. But I'm here to tell you that uncertainty is the greatest place for change. People do not change unless they actually go to an uncertain place. I watch this even with professional athletes. One of the things that the people who really succeed, the Michael Jordans of the world, right now there is a series on ESPN. It's bringing me back to the 80s and 90s when I was a huge Michael Jordan fan. And one of the big things that defined Michael Jordan versus pretty much not only every other basketball player, that most people consider Michael Jordan to be the best basketball player who's ever played the game. But the thing that has separated him from all of the modern stars, I won't mention them, some of the modern stars in basketball, but also transcending all sports, is that he was the guy that you knew if you put the ball in his hand in an uncertain time, he could create something, and he was the one who actually wanted the ball. Didn't mean that he won every game, but when everything was on the line, you wanted Michael Jordan to have the ball. Why were some people able to thrive when it was uncertain and other people would hide when it was uncertain? There was this thing that they had done in their life. They had gotten so used, they have created and conditioned in themselves to push themselves to that point because they knew that there was the people who will go to those places that are uncertain can create in that space and not be defined by it, but to transcend that space are the real game changers in the world. The people who can live in an uncertain space and they don't need certainty to determine every one of their decisions, those people who live in that space take over every market. They are head and shoulders. That's why I even look at it in the coaching space, in the coaching world. I always tell coaches who inquire about our programs, and I have our staff, we send emails out to people and everything else. One of the things that we consistently communicate is that we have been really successful as business people. It's really important because where we have gone as business people, as coaches, has been far beyond what most people will will aspire to. And it's that whole degree of certainty. It's consistently going to the places that are uncomfortable, because where you will go, where it's uncomfortable, is the greatest change and the greatest transformation actually happens at that point. You have to go to the place where you've not been before. You have to transcend what your belief systems are, because like right now, we're all living, if you're feeling kind of anxiety and a bunch of other different things that are going on, if things are feeling uncertain, what it is that we haven't been tested in these places. And we've got an opportunity that our belief systems up to this point got us to where we are, but are probably not going to take us to the next place. It means that we have to change what we think. And it means that we have to look at right now as an extraordinary opportunity to do something different. Think of some of the companies, I'm going to name two that you probably didn't realize transcended everything and created a brand and created everything during an uncertain time. Back in 2006, 2007, 2008, I lost my job. I was unemployed for more than half of the year. We were living in California, and we were basically homeless. We had to move in to some friend's house and put all of our stuff in storage and some of our stuff in the garage. That was our story during that time. Now, what happened during that time, at the exact same time that I end up finding coaching, creating a business, and it really changed our story and the trajectory of our lives, there were a couple of other places that were a little more successful than me. Maybe you can think of a company named Airbnb. Maybe you can think of a company named Uber, because it wasn't so long ago that it was weird to go stay at someone's house in a room that we didn't know who the people were. Your mom always told you never to get in the car with strangers. It's become normal. It's amazing how they jumped upon an opportunity so that the largest taxi service in the world that does not own its own cars is now they're the dominant force in the world in transportation. In the hotel industry, the largest hotel chain that does not actually own its own buildings is Airbnb. They've transcended. What did they do? Is they took an uncertain time and they stepped in, they looked at the opportunity, and they made some commitments. One of the things I said last week is to begin to grab control of your life and to grab control of this season and to do anything new, to really grab a hold of this opportunity. It really first starts with decision. And for those of you who weren't with me last week, or you can't really remember this, but in the middle of this word decision is this root CIS. Cis, or you'll also see the word SID, decision and decide. You see this Latin root. What does it mean? It means to cut off. It also means to kill. What does a decision do? It cuts off every opportunity. It says, this is my only option. And the people who will not make that kind of a commitment are always hedging their bets. See, this is why I see some coaches who don't ever get their coaching practices started. Now, it's fine if you want to be a part-time coach or anything. I did that. I was a part-time coach making more money in 10 hours out of the month than I was in my full-time job. And and the crazy thing about it is that you can do that. I mean, like for me, my wife was really sick and we couldn't get Obamacare because it didn't exist. So there was all these kinds of things that were happening at the time where it made sense for me to have coaching as a side gig. And if you want to be that, but know what your commitments are. When people hedge their bets, and when I say hedge their bets, it's like, I'm going to only partially get in. I'm going to pretend like I have done this frenzy of activity and I've tried to do stuff. But at the end of the day, when people start saying stuff like, well, I've tried everything and I just don't think that I can get people to pay. I've tried everything and I don't think, have you really tried everything? Like, name 100 things that you've tried. Okay, so if can't name 100, you haven't tried every, can you name 10? Most people will bow out. Matter of fact, what I see consistently, because the commitment's truly a move of the heart. When you commit to something, what ends up happening when you say there's no other options, like you have cut the lifeline, like I would say it like this. When there is a life or death situation, people get extraordinarily resourceful during those times, like finding money for treatment, finding creative treatment, finding people who can help them all kinds of now we've got childcare and all of this other stuff. It's amazing how we can rally what we need during those times. What is it? Is that we have come in single purpose, and when I finally focus, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever saw something that you really wanted, and you finally, there's a commitment though in your heart that says, I'm going to make this thing happen. I'm going to buy that car. I'm going to buy that shirt. I'm going to buy whatever. And what happens is that you focus on it, and then eventually you actually accomplish the goal, right? Well, the funny thing is that in the process of going after the goal, you get such tunnel vision during that time that when you're driving around, like if it's a car, now that's the only car that you see on the road. Like you never saw that car before. The first time you saw it, you're like, wow, that's a really nice car. Let me look into that car. And then all of a sudden, when something happens in your heart where you want something and you make a decision, now all of a sudden there is a system in you. It's called the reticular. Oh, I can't even say it. The RAS. I can't get those words out today because I had coffee too soon. It was just like a few minutes ago, so I can't say that word. The RAS all of a sudden gets what your heart wants. So when you have made a decision, all of a sudden, this is the only thing that you can see. And now when you go in parking lots, it's the only cars that you see. You see them on the road. Were they always there? Yes. But the decision in the heart, all of a sudden, everything in the resources in you, because resources are not your problem. Like when I hear people say stuff like, well, my governor is doing this, and this is why I can't do this. My president is doing this, and this is why I can't do this. I don't know the contacts that other people do. These are ways of not deciding and allowing other people to decide for us. I was one of those people who thought that for a really, really long time. Like, I really believed that who you know is where you go. Believed that from a young age. And I believed that I was an insignificant person. And because I'm insignificant, I'm never going to get into the positions that I need to. I'm never going to have the job. I'm never going to make the money. And I was kind of like, always felt like I was an outsider. Like there was such an abandonment issue. And I could go back to some roots in my life and everything else and talk to you about that, but that's a non-issue. I had some abandonment, insecurity, root issues, and bad beliefs that I always saw myself from the outside looking in. Now, here's the thing, is that when you believe those things, and that's what I firmly believe, that who you know is where you go. But if I thought that I was an outsider in the game, that's not a very empowering belief. I will say this, that who you know is where you go. Why? Because the whole world revolves around relationship. It's not about hype. It's not about advertising. It's none of this junk that everybody does. People buy from their friends. They relate to people who they know genuinely care and want to serve them. People don't want to be sold, right? That is the root of human interaction, and everything, sales, marketing, everything is all about making connections, and it's all about serving people. If you'll serve people, you'll never have an empty hand. I work out of an authenticity and a genuineness that if I can truly help people and add value to them, there's no doubt that they're going to want to work with me. No doubt that they'll want to do business with me. I firmly believe that. So this is how I took a limiting belief, and shifted that. But the thing is that at a certain point, you've got to make a decision. Like if you believe those things and contacts are the difference in your business and everything else, then why aren't you doing something about it? See, this is the thing, is that when you make a decision, you don't have any kind of lack in any kind of area right now where if you see failure or you see mediocrity or any of those other kinds of things, you have no lack. Lack is not your problem. Your lack of money, your lack of contacts, your lack of any of those things are not your issue. This is the issue right now, is that you haven't cut ties with everything else. You haven't really made a decision in your heart. Because what I find is that as soon as you make a decision in your heart, you become a resource to yourself, and you get extraordinarily creative in being able to do stuff. I mean, I didn't have the money. I spent thousands of dollars to get trained as a coach. I didn't have that money. There was a lot of different things that I can look back in my life that I did not have. Like, I couldn't explain to you how I was able to accomplish different things that I was able to accomplish. I had no money to start a business. I had no money really to start a coach training school. I mean, I did, but I kind of didn't. And I couldn't even explain to you the recipe. Like, I couldn't tell somebody how to do what I have done because the recipe doesn't make any sense for anybody else. Where did the recipe come from? It came from this, is that when there was a decision in my heart that I am not going back from this point, the resources came available in that moment because people are brilliant. I don't care what the world and the way the world is acting right now, where people can't take personal responsibility and everything else. And the heart of a coach is, I believe this person is whole. They are resourceful. They are brilliant. I believe in you listening to me. Why I'm talking to you right now is I believe in the ingenuity and the creative genius in you. And I believe that it is possible for you to do anything. And I'm not bullcrapping about that at all. You need to feel permission right now to go after the things in your heart, to fully commit, to go all in to what you want, and to trust the fact that whatever you come up with, the solutions that you come up with will absolutely work. The people who want to walk around and they want guarantees before they'll make a commitment are not really committing. They are looking for the easy way around. And your biggest issue that's facing you right now is not resources or anything else. It's completely mindset. It's completely your belief systems. Because what I would say is that anything in business and anything in the coaching world, what I know consistently is that 90% of everything is your mindset and your belief systems. It's 10% what you actually have to do for business and everything else. It's 90% how you actually show up. Because people who show up with the right mindset and the right belief systems will consistently perform, or they will consistently find a way to make something happen. That's why I look at Michael Jordan. It's like, this is why I would want that guy to have the ball every time. Even in his 50s, I would pick Michael Jordan for before I would pick any of these 20-somethings in the NBA. Why? Because I know he's been there, that there's a mental toughness about him, that there is a decision that I know that he's already made in his heart that we're going to win this game and we're going to find a way to win. That's what happens when we make these shifts. Now, decision's the first thing. Second thing is that I would say is that you've got to cultivate the atmosphere around you. And what do I mean by that? I mean that most people have extraordinarily undisciplined lives, and they have extraordinarily undisciplined minds. And here's what I mean by that. Like, we'll do a test to see if you've got how you're disciplined in those things, and if you're cultivating an atmosphere for success. How much time did you spend this morning on social media? How much time did you spend looking at articles from various news sources about the pandemic? How much time did you spend just doing catch up, urgent kinds of things on email? All of those kinds of things. What I'm telling you is that is not an atmosphere that cultivates success. Like, I know so many people right now, just in going out and about and listening to conversations and everything else, that people who are living in fear that I don't have. And it's not that, I mean, I'm living in the same world as these people, but there is a discipline that I have about my life that I am never going to be more aware of fear than I am the certainty that I am in this moment for a reason. Like, I think that we're all here for a reason. I think that there is no doubt that there in this moment etched in time before the history of the world, that you and I are here for an absolute purpose, that the gifting, the calling on your life, it takes more faith for me to think that everything's by chance. I think that we're all here for an absolute purpose, and that you have what it takes to show up in this moment, to shine, to be a champion, and to be a hero. I absolutely believe that. And that's how I live my life. I actually am consumed by that. And I am more aware that I have access to resources and understanding and to cut a path for other people than what some of the other people have, because I watch how they discipline their lives. And they don't have any discipline. Well, they do. What we would say your discipline is what conditioning are you putting? Like, basically what an atmosphere is that you are setting conditions. And if your conditions are set by what's happening in your state, what's happening based on your governor's decision, or whether it's a Republican thing or a Democrat, you are a very powerless, fearful person right now. And you're setting the conditions for your success based on what other people are telling you. Well, that's not what Airbnb did. That's not what Uber did. It's not what a lot of other companies, like right now, there are mega companies that are going to be released over the next few days. They will. And they're going to be household names in the next year. How do I know that? Because that's what always happens during these moments is that people step up, they look at the opportunities and they do that. But the conditions are perfect for those things to happen right now. But if you think that everybody else is setting a condition for your success, then how many of you are really going to emerge? That means that right now you've got to be the primary person to create an atmosphere. That's why I'd say when you start your day, you need to have, like, in the exact same thing that you have routines, that you bathe, that you brush your teeth, that you eat whatever you eat, or you exercise and everything else, that there has to be mental conditioning. You have to create an atmosphere where you can mentally and emotionally thrive. Why? It's for this reason right here, is that you need to have an elevated emotional state at all times. Why? Because you will make better decisions when you feel good than you will when you feel bad. This is why, and this is what's critical, is that when you create an atmosphere, when you have a discipline every day, you literally benefit from those very things. Like, you teach your emotion, you train your emotions how to feel. And that's why you see a lot of people reacting out of fear or anger and distrust and all of these other kinds of things, and they're bent out of shape. Do I look like somebody who's all bent out of shape and everything else? There are some things, I'll be honest with you. There's some things that I would say that I am grieved in my heart over, because I'm worried about certain people who are on the brink that have real emotional needs and weren't really doing well. Like, I have a friend who works with people who are in recovery, and they can't get to people right now. That's not okay. They can't help people like they normally help people, and that's not all right. So there's things like that that I grieve. But you know what else is turning on to me is that there's something turning on to me where I'm meeting today with a bunch of business leaders to say, hey, you know what? I'm doing really well. I'm going to focus on helping you guys, for one, cultivate this atmosphere, and let's think practically, how do you become a resource right now, and how does your business grow? How does it develop during? And this is one of those things that I've committed in my own local area. I'm grieved by it, but I also know that I'm not more aware of my grief or those things than I am my emotional state and believing I've got something to actually help people. I've got something that I can be a greater resource to these people right now than and maybe I'm more relevant right now to them than ever. That's what you have to do as being a coach right now. People are needing resources. They need coaches. They need people. And if we're out of the game, who are we going to help? This is right now the opportunity for you to emerge, for you to step up. This is your moment in time to be a champion. So what we've got to do is we've got to create conditions in our life where we thrive. So it means that probably when you start the morning, the first thing that you should not do is check your phone. The first thing you should not do is check your email. The first thing that you should not do is turn on CNN or Fox News or any of those other kinds of things. All of those places have an agenda to emotionally get you to react and to trigger people. Look at the headlines and all of this other stuff. We've got to be bigger than these things. We've got to rise above. Like my friend Jesse always says, the people with the most hope have the most influence. If you can become that person, you are the go-to person. You will become a master of your life, and you'll become a master of over everything that you want in your life if you will cultivate an atmosphere and create the conditions that you need. Everything's conditioning. People condition themselves to be anxious, fearful, angry, all of that. But we've got to create conditions where we thrive, where we stay in hope, where we stay joyful, where we stay expectant for good things to happen. And we've got to maintain our emotional state. That means that if I've noticed that my emotional state is low, like it's on a scale of 1 to 10, that it's 5 or 6 or something like that, I have a moment right there to do something about it. What I always tell our coaches, I even talked about it in boot camp, is the first thing that you can do to just shift your emotional state is just to move. Is that there's something that happens because it's chemicals that are going on. I need to be aware of what's going on. I need to shift it. I just need to move. Sometimes it's going for a walk. It might be jumping in place for 30 minutes. It might be doing burpees. I don't know, But if you start to move, that's one of the simplest ways that you shift your emotional state. One of the things that I tell our coaches that if you can make yourself bigger, that there is a universal sign for surrender is this. It's also the universal sign for worship. So people who come from religious traditions will see this. And you know what? It's also a universal sign for is victory. Even people who are blind, who have never seen a day in their life, when they win, you will see them do this exact same pose. You'll see people who are paraplegic, or not paraplegic, but don't have control of their legs, but they have control of their arms. If they still have that control in their life, but they've never walked in their whole life. I've seen people who are wheelchair bound actually do that exact same kind of pose. It's not something that's learned. It's something that's actually on a DNA level. It's programmed in you. So that what happens is that whatever you do with your body, you can actually shift what's going on inside, because you know what, your body, when you do this with your body, even out of your will, you know what happens is that your brain starts thinking and your subconscious starts thinking, wow, this girl feels like she's in control. You know what happens is that you're actually making yourself bigger, because people who are in fear seem to make themselves smaller because they're trying to console themselves and everything else. When you make yourself bigger, you know, the Superman pose, these kinds of things start to shift something inside you. And these are just the practical, like the most basic kinds of things. But one of the other big things, and this is number 4, and this is what I'm closing with, is that when you make a decision and you cultivate this atmosphere and you monitor your emotional state, I don't even know, you know what, that's actually covered up. So I'm going to put 4 is up here. Number 4 is you've got to take action. You know, if you won't take action, if you won't take a step, if you won't marry the emotional state with action, you will not see change in your life. You will not be in control, because action is the defining point of what belief really is. Your belief, your actions always follow consistently what your belief is. So if you're able to manage making a decision and cultivating an atmosphere, what really finishes and what is the completion, and it shows you've made a decision, is that you take action. Allow your emotional state, when you create a high level, when you are engaged, if you're engaged right now, you know what you need to do? If your emotional state is really high right now, just listening to me, this is the moment that you actually take a step. You don't wait for 24 hours later. You know why? Because you'll go back to default and you will not be managing these other kinds of conditions in your life. It's consistent. I see it consistently. I tell our coaches all the time, if you do a complimentary session, you need to close that person within 24 hours, because programs are a very real thing. Bad belief systems and cycles and everything else are a very bad thing. And what's holding most people back is making a decision and taking action in their life. And a coach is supposed to help them rise above, see all of the possibilities, and take a stand, take action, do something about it. That's what a coach's role is to push people towards action and to make them make a commitment. That's what we get paid the big bucks to do. This is what you should be doing. And I'm going to pay the bills really quickly, and then I'm going to take any questions that you guys have. But for those of you who need to take action, we are a fully online, on-demand program. And what does that mean for you? It means that's why we're affordable. It's only $195 to go through our fully online life coach certification course. You get the training course, you get the exam. The training is all on demand. It's self-paced. And when you complete the course, it only takes maybe 30 hours. We've had a ton of people getting trained and certified during this global pause. You go through the course on your own time on any device, mobile device, computer, whatever, tablet, you go through it. After you go through all of the modules, and each module covers the core competencies, when you complete each one of those modules, you're going to have an activity that allows you to put what you learned into action, so that you're strengthening your coaching muscles. And at the end, when you take the exam, when you score above 70% on the exam, you've earned your credential. There's unlimited retakes. We don't charge you for retakes or anything else. When you pass it, not only do you get a certificate, but we have a partnership with our credentialing partner, Accredible. You get a credential ID. Most schools do not give that to you. You get an actual ID number that people can look you up. It also has a social media integration tool. You can pull your credential into LinkedIn and all your social media and your website, because we're not interested in you just having something on your wall. We want you to be able to leverage that thing. Now, for those of you who need business development help, and we do have a link to this inside of the description, we have a Jumpstart program, and Jumpstart is our business development program. It's 20 core modules make up Jumpstart. Everything from how do you discover your target market? How do you discover your niche? How do you sell? How do you create multiple streams of income? For some of you, you think that this is all about one-on-one coaching. There are so many ways of offering coaching that save you time and save you a lot of money and make you basically have zero to no overhead in your business. And not only that, you're able to help more people through creating multiple ways of people working with you. We show you how to do that in our program. That's why our coaches are making a lot more than the average first-year coach. The average first-year coach, nothing to sneeze at, $118 to $128 per session. Our coaches are charging between $250 to $1,000 per session. Why? Because they've learned personal value and worth, and they've also learned business strategies that actually work for them. So as you're going through the program, you get the 20 core modules. Every week, we have a live group coaching call where we answer every coaching related question and every business related question. If you can't make it live, we record those. They're posted on the website within 24 to 48 hours. So you never have to miss those things. You can role play with other students. You can get feedback on anything that you're working with. We have an online community. I watch these. These are some of the most dynamic, compassionate, passionate, amazing people in the world, and they're always celebrating each other's success. One coach that I saw last week had gotten a client just off of our free online directory that we give you. It's normally $75 a year, and you get that thing free. There's all of these things. I'm just watching. We love to watch and celebrate success, and it's an incredible community of people. That program of Jumpstart is only $97 a month, and for those of you who think that that's a lot of money, it's Starbucks. If you're wondering how much that is, that's $3.25 a day. No one's building a six-figure business out of a cup of Starbucks. Nobody in the world is finding a program that does that. And that's who we are. And, you don't have to do this thing alone. You can absolutely be successful, but you know what? You got to make a decision and you got to take action in something. Whatever you decide that you want in your life, that's what it's really going to require. Making a decision and taking action and cultivating the atmosphere of your heart so that you thrive. Let me see what other questions that we have in here. Let me pop back. There's a lot of comments that came in here. And so I want to say hello to some people that I see in here. Cookie says, hello, Paul. It's Cookie from Charlotte. Hey. And there's Mary Jane from Ontario. Welcome. Jonathan from Nigeria, Desiree from Texas, Noemi from Maryland, Wayne's joining us from Vermont, Todd's here from Kansas City. Oh, look, I have no idea how to say that word. Karachi? Is that in the Middle East? Where is that? Because I can look at it, and because I'm Middle Eastern, my last name is Dabdu. I can recognize names of things and stuff. So I'm just interested in where you're joining us from. Monica's joining us from Virginia. Oh, Pakistan. So it was the Middle East. Yes. Noemi says, I just want to thank you for your program. I did your training in 2017, and it was great. Thank you for that. Richard's joining us from LA. Jonathan was asking, can I get your lecture? And that's on video. I don't have everything that I did today was completely on the fly. So I don't really, there's an abundance of these things because I've worked with thousands of people at this point, and I don't really have notes to grab from to give you or any kind of, so you have it in video, so feel free to watch it again. Adim, hello. Edelyn's joining us from Ohio. Crystal joining us from Pennsylvania. Brigitte joining us from is that Kansas? Yeah, from Kansas. All right. And let's see who else is in here. Cookies from Edmond, Oregon. Let's see. All right, let's see. Brigitte says, I feel that a change in myself is what I need to do. That's cool. Let's see. Tony's checking in from Kenya. Welcome. Brigitte said conditions are perfect. Todd says Paul is on fire. Love this group. All right, very cool. Thank you for that. Let's see. Desiree says I have to be better at creating an atmosphere. Awesome. Bill says great stuff as usual. You are right on point. Thank you. Twyla says meditation before media. I appreciate that. For those of you who don't practice any kind of meditation, or you don't think that you do, you actually do. So for you worriers, any of you who have any problems with worrying or getting something stuck in your mind that you can't get past, just kind of you find some obsessive thoughts, that's basically shows that you have the ability to meditate. And meditate's not just simply, and there's a lot of different forms of meditation. But I would say that what I try to do when it comes to meditating, what I am is I'm trying to give my thoughts towards something. And you do that all of the time. But meditation, what you're really saying is I'm going to be intentional about giving my thoughts towards something. So it doesn't have to be weird. So for those of you who think it's just kind of weird or whatever, here's the thing, is that meditation, you do it all the time. Anything that you put, that's what cultivating an atmosphere around you is. So if it's just sitting around and watching news and creating anxiety and everything else, you've actually cultivated that atmosphere, and you're actually meditating on negative things or on politics or whatever. You're already doing it. It's whatever you've given your mind and your heart towards. It's a very deep place, and that's what the overflow of your life really is. And so what we have to do is just be very intentional about how we create those spaces. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Let's see. Cool. Let's see what else I see in here. Twyla says, what is the best way to find clients and start coaching? Man, that's a really long answer. And I have a ton of videos on this page and also on our website. First thing that you've got to do before you ever try to go get a client is decide who they are. Decide who your ideal client is. What is your target market? Can you do the homework on those people? And find a niche. What is it that you're going to help people accomplish in their life? Like if somebody works with you, what is the result? What is the expected result that someone can get when they work with you? So that can be relationship coaching, spiritual life coaching, or whatever. But what do you help people get less of and get more of? What do you help people get out of the way of their life and put in their life? Those kinds of things. And this is how you discover your target market and your niche before you ever try to go get a client. I always make that recommendation because there's a ton of strategies and different things. But if you don't start with that, it's really going to limit your ability to get people in the door. So if you're like, well, I could work with anybody and I could help anybody. Well, anybody is really too vague. And so you're not going to have a strategy, like you're just going to be all over the place. So start with that, clarify it, and then you can develop a strategy to find those people because they live all over the place. But let's say this, if I wanted to work exclusively with business owners, where should I go for that? Do I need to go to the grocery store? Well, you're probably going to find some business owners there, but no, I'm going to go to a place where I can find business owners. Could be local networking, could be online networking where I'm going to find those people. So if you're where when you've discovered that and you create your messaging all around that, now you just find the places where they live because they live everywhere. People self-organize and they relate to people who are like them. It's really not that great of a challenge to begin finding it, but you do have to dial in what that is. Let's see. Noemi says, how do I get my credential number again? Really easy. Log on to the website with the email address that you were given, that you created your account originally with. And if you don't remember what your password is, there's a forgot password link right under there. Just use that and it'll generate everything for you automatically. But everything that you did 3 years ago, all of that information is still right there at your fingertips. You just need to log in again. It's really simple. ilifecoachtraining.com, click the student login button. And again, if you can't remember what your login information is, just use the email address, hit forgot password, use your email address, and recreate a password. If for some reason you don't have access to that old email address that you originally used, really simple. Just use the support link at the bottom, and our team will help you get that fixed up. Let's see. Good day, Paul. Is there a video that shows us how to put our credential onto our LinkedIn and website? Actually, if you open up your certificate through Accredible, you're going to see that at the bottom left. It gives you those options. Do you want to integrate this into LinkedIn? Do you want to put this in your website? It'll give you code and all of that stuff. So it's not, so it's really simple. It's literally like open up your certificate and you're going to see all of those options down the left if you want to make your credential public and all of those other kinds of things. So it's just right there in front of you. Let's see. Kim says, I love the no more than 2 questions at a time during coaching session. It helps keep you focused. Yeah, for those of you who are wondering what that is, with new coaches that are trying to get in the discipline of not giving people advice, I always tell people use the 2-sentence rule. The first sentence is a response, and it's only 1 sentence. And the second sentence is actually a question, and that makes sure that you spin the plate and you keep it in the client's control instead of you taking control and advising people. So that's great. Awesome. Any final questions before we head out for the day? And again, if you want more information about Jumpstart, click the link inside the description. We'd love to, like, you can get enrolled today and be enrolling in seconds. And I'd also say that when you go on there, you're also, we are having another coaching boot camp at the end of the month. And it's something new that we're doing where we're doing live training, and you can get trained and certified over the weekend. So if you just go to the link that's in the description of this video, it's going to take you specifically to Jumpstart, but you can click around as well and find more information about the boot camp, which is only $247, and you do all of your training in an entire weekend, and so that you can complete your certification. So any of you who have a procrastination issue and you're like, I just don't like on demand, I just don't like all of this, like I have to be, it's like, okay, well, let's do it in one weekend. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you get everything knocked out. You get to role play with each other. You get a lot of interactivity, and it's great. Last one that we did, we trained and certified like 100 people in a weekend. It's amazing. And it's also fully online and on demand, but it's live. So it's just another option for you. Brad says, what certification is earned? You'll be earning your CLC, so Certified Life Coach. But we also, in the upcoming weeks, just as a hint, we're also going to be adding a Certified Professional Coach credential. That's not happening immediately, but that is something that's coming down the road, which requires a higher level of training. And we've got that that higher, like I'd say, advanced skills training that's coming in the next few weeks. It's just still in development, and we want to launch it at the right time. So, all right. Eddie says, hey, sorry, I just jumped on. Just wanted to say these lives you do have been super motivational for me to get stuff done. Thanks, man. You are a blessing. Thank you so much, Eddie in New Jersey. Appreciate you. Well, cool. Well, we are going to head out for the day because we're in a little bit of overtime. But I appreciate you guys all immensely. Know that we're just like one Facebook inbox message away or an email away, or you can message us at any time if you've got any questions. Listen, take action, whatever it is. Hey, maybe it's not even our school. If you want to get trained and certified as a coach, just go find a place to go do it and take action today. That's the critical mark of making the decision and getting the kind of life that you want. I hope today's been really encouraging for you. I really believe in you. This is an amazing time to do something very new in your life. It's an amazing time to actually take control of your life, but it takes taking action today, and hopefully you'll do that. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Have a great rest of your week and take care.